Power Girl, issue 6, Leah Williams and Margaret Savage on the art. This is another Matt book, because he's a sucker for big boobs. Take it away, Matt.
It's not just that. She's a muscle mommy, all right?
It's not just that. I love how you didn't try to deny it. You just said it's not just that.
It's not just that. No, I got Leah Williams, I have to give credit. Whatever has been going on with this book, the amount of character work that they have done with Paige, you know, giving her her own identity, and in this book, teaming her with Kara. I just hope that this is a thing that lasts, because one of the reasons I've never been able to connect with Power Girl was we never got like kind of this definitive, you know, what makes her special. And here making her, you know, a different Earth's version of Supergirl and how she fits in with the super family has really worked. But this issue kicks off with Savage drawing so it's the typical Savage art until it shifts to the second place they go to, where it looks more like traditional like storybook art. So I got to give them credit, because I know that like Savage art's not for everybody. I believe you've called them, you know, blow up doll eyes, right? There's kind of a lifelessness.
I don't know if I used that specific sentence, but yeah, I remember complaining.
Yeah, I think you did, because I don't know where I would have got it. But yeah, so halfway through this page, or not halfway, we get near the bottom, but it's a bunch of these college girls, it looks like or teenage girls, are at the Kilgore Academy for the Gifted, and they're, you know, messing around. One of the girls is trying to you know, finish homework. They're in like a library, but they look to this one girl with dark hair, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to try Avalon with us?" And she holds out like these pills, and our main girl is like, "Well, I guess." And as soon as she takes it, she ends up getting like sucked through this portal into the storybook land, where it looks like a traditional fairy tale village with this gigantic castle in the background on this mountain. Almost like she got pulled into a Disney movie.
That sounds like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I would hate this issue.
You would think that, until, you know, there's maybe art-wise, yes. But so what this ends up being is Paige and Kara teaming up to track down where these drugs are coming from. Because Kara had traced Streaky, right? That they were testing out this drug on Streaky from that last issue, which was following him through his adventure. And that, you know, Kara's like, well, we need to get the stuff off the street. We don't know what it can do. People have gone missing, which is what Kara gets on there, which is why she's on the trail. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, we can go undercover. And they go, I guess. And so they end up going to Metropolis University just as college students. And basically for that, it's just Paige, you know, wearing a tank top and boots and a short skirt, which she ends up running into her intern from, you know, the first like 2 issues, who's confused as why she's dressed like that. Because, you know, she knows like she runs her startup, and she also writes for the Daily Planet, and she passes it off like they're doing a story for Lois, but you can't tell anybody because I have to be, you know, undercover. And so the intern's like, oh yeah, okay, you know, that works. And as they keep going, they end up running into Omen, who's also there, and they're trying to find out where these kids are getting the drugs from. Omen ended up using her telepathic powers, and they find out that there's these 2 henchmen wearing the comedy and tragedy masks that are going around offering these drugs to people. And they're doing drops. They find out that the next drop will be under a bridge by the river. So our Supergirls go off. They end up getting some of them from that bust that they did with Omen. And when they get into the pill, it's almost like a gelatin ball. And when they cut it open, this like tendril comes out, and Kara calls it a biomass. And they're like, okay, well, we can't we can't take this stuff. We don't know what it will do to our Kryptonian physiology. So we'll just, we'll try to keep it contained. They go to one of the bridges. Kara's dressed in a cloak. And they end up preventing these guys from selling their wares. They try to get away. Paige knocks one of them into the water. And as she's going after the next one, she sees that he's spray painting this like weird like letter onto a side of a building, and then he touches it and goes through. Kara comes from out of the water where she followed the other one in. He's gone as well, and she's upset. And this is where Savage's art looks really good, because she comes out of the water and there's like these splash lines all over, and her eyes are doing the Kryptonian glow thing, except it looks more like electricity. So it gives her this very imposing sense. All the color is like pinks and blues, and everything contrasts really well. And it goes, they realize that, like, when these people disappear when they take the drug, what if this is like a teleportation thing and they're going somewhere else? And then it cuts to over that this name that they've gotten from some of the people that have used it is called Farimbia. And Paige hypothesizes, like, what if it's an alternate dimension? To where Leah Williams in a caption goes, Farimbia, an alternate dimension. And it's that castle from the first couple pages. And there's a lady who looks like Emerald Empress, the Legion villain. She's in all green. She's clearly magical because she's looking into a cauldron. And basically saying, like, we're taking all of these kids from Metropolis for a reason, and that they're bringing them to Farimbia, and she needs more of them for whatever it's going to need. So our Supergirls end up realizing, like, when that guy painted that symbol, it created a doorway. So they end up redoing it and taking some of that biomass stuff and rubbing it on to the wall, and it ends up taking them to Farimbia. But before they went, they argue. They're like, well, we have no idea how to get back. And Paige is like, well, I'll just astral punch. It's, what use is going to an alternate dimension if I can't astral punch my way out? So when they get there, they're very confused by the storybook stuff. And the girl that was from the start pops out of a bush to them and is like, oh, great. You're never leaving. Paige tries to punch out and nothing. They can't fly. They don't have any powers, and they're stuck here. And our girl from the beginning is like, no one that goes to the castle ever comes out. And it cuts back to the witch in green, who realizes that our two heroines are Kryptonian, and says, that their powers have been neutralized. Nothing will stop me now, with an evil laugh, with all of these college students. It looks like they're building a rock wall around the castle, and that's where we leave off. So a very fun issue, despite the inherent silliness of it all. I love the back and forth between Kara and Paige. It really makes them feel, it gives Paige a spot in the super family. The fact that she has this kind of contentious relationship with Kara, but they still respect each other. I'm glad to see that coming out here, because Kara being the more experienced super of the two, right? Like what it means to be part of the Superman family, and Paige still trying to prove herself. It gives her this headstrongness where she looks before she leaps. So Kara being that character to kind of draw her back into being like, look, you got to think about these things. I really enjoy that. So yeah. Leah Williams is just continually to add layers to Power Girl. And then the art here, the way that it jumps back between the storybook style art and Savage's typical art, and the color use, which I'm always a fan of Savage, even if you don't enjoy the dead eyes, at least the colors are pretty. Here, that kind of pastel-y continues. That pastel, the greens, blues, pinks, everything playing off of each other. Yeah, so I'm gonna give this an 8.5.